Hi, I'm David Cerns, and welcome to this edition of Lucas Group's Recruiter Intel Spotlight. Today, we are speaking with Michael Johnson, Senior Managing Partner in Lucas Group's HR division. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, David. It's nice to be here.
So, Michael, today we're going to chat about the evolving role of HR leadership in 2021 and the challenge of managing diversity, equity, and inclusion. But before we jump into the details, would you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I've been with Lucas Group now for 9.5 years. As you indicated, I manage our HR search team on the West Coast. And before that, I spent about 7 years recruiting lawyers. I did that with an organization that no longer exists, actually. And I also spent a long career with a legal publisher. And I learned a lot about customer service and sales and just good business, judgment. So it's been a great career, but I really have enjoyed my time with Lucas Group, and in particular, working with HR professionals.
Well, that's great. It seems like for HR professionals, it's been a really rough year plus. The world has changed, as we all know. HR definitely changed in 2020, but how do you see HR leadership evolving in 2021?
Yeah, there is an incredible demand right now for smart, thoughtful, strategic HR leadership. We are seeing an unprecedented, that word gets overused, but increase in demand for strong HR talent. And I think that stems from the challenges that we all have lived through and witnessed in the past 1.5 years. The pandemic, the murder of George Floyd, the social impact and personal impact that had on so many people, and the response. And so HR leaders have had to step forward and rise to the occasion and solve a lot of really complex problems where suddenly workforces were either working from home and very dispersed, or if they were essential, they had to still show up, but they had to be protected. And HR had to figure out a lot of those issues and problems along the way. And many, many people rose to that occasion. Honestly, some had a hard time and didn't. And we've seen more companies actually looking to upgrade their HR leadership and talent. So it's been a very, very interesting 1.5 years and a challenging 1.5 years. But I think as we move forward, we're going to see the role of HR even stronger and more forefront in organizations, because they have to. They have to keep up with how do you attract and retain and engage and include everybody in an organization so that it can be the most successful. It's something that it has to happen.
So it's a good transition. From a DE&I perspective, what does HR have to do to step up and lead their organizations?
I mean, HR does need to be at the forefront, but it's actually a task that everybody in an organization, and especially at the top of an organization, everybody has to step forward and lead. It isn't possible for a company to hire just an individual to take on DE&I and expect that to work. I mean, everybody from the absolute top of the company through the senior leaders and down, everybody has to make that commitment. And the work is multifaceted. I mean, companies have to look honestly at themselves and figure out, where are we and where do we want to go? I think there has to be a real examination of values, um, an examination of what practices have led to, whatever the status quo is, and what needs to be changed. So it's going to be something that HR is going to certainly be at the forefront of, but they have to be a good, smart, influential business partner to all leaders in an organization to make sure that a company makes the smart choices, and does what's right by all employees. And it's going to take years of good, hard work. But I think we're moving in the right direction.
Excellent. So you mentioned a few things there about creating awareness. It's about helping train people. It's about company's culture. Is DE&I an awareness issue, a training issue, or is it a bigger process and change management issue? I mean, how do you really bring DE&I into the organization?
So I think it's a much bigger process and change management issue. I don't know if that's the right word, but certainly that's where the work has to happen. That may also mean that you have to change training or increase training, that you have to take measures to improve awareness and communication. But it's going to be really a big organizational development task to look at, where things are within the organization today, identify where you want to go and decide how you're going to get there, and then put all the resources that are needed to actually make that happen. It has to take, time and commitment and energy and money, but it's really important. I think increasingly employees are looking at organizations and thinking about, is this where I belong? Is this, am I valued? Am I respected? And I think that stems in many ways from the last year and a half, the pandemic, social unrest, the things that we all witnessed and went through. People started stepping back and evaluating their own situation, and what do they want, and where are they going, and who are they working for, and are they enjoying it? And so if we're going to engage and retain great talent, organizations have to figure this out. And many are already underway. I mean, there's lots of work happening in companies, but it will take a long-term commitment to make sure that this is all successful.
That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, there's going to be big changes companies have to go through. So what do organizations need to do differently so they really can make all people feel more valued, better heard, and make the organization so that it has a real commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, a lot has to happen inside of an organization. I think it starts with effective, honest, clear communication. If there's a lack of communication, I think people tend to sit in their own head or in their own, their own group or team. And you have to have a realization that there are many different types of people in a company that make it work. We don't all think the same. We have different, background, training, experiences. But if an organization embraces all that and all that diversity, they're going to come out ahead because, different people will bring different solutions, different suggestions, different ideas to solving problems and moving forward. But people at the top, leaders, have to listen and understand and really communicate more than ever what's important to an organization and how we're going to make this all happen. So it's a great opportunity for really strong leaders right now to step forward and make a true difference. And I think everybody wants the same thing. We all want to show up as we are and feel like we make a difference. I'm a gay man. I've been with Lucas Group 9.5 years. I have felt that I think I have a lot of goodwill in the company. I respected, I have felt included, and I've stayed, for those 9.5 years. I think if it didn't feel that way, I, probably would have made a change along the way. But that has to be true for everybody. It has to be something that organizations are conscious of and working to engage and include, all people.
Excellent. Well, Michael, so many good points there. You're right. It's a change management issue. It's not, you said this is probably something that's going to take years to get through. It's something that an organization doesn't just say. It has to be part of their culture, and it comes from the top. It's something that the organization lives, but it also comes from being open. And you mentioned, leaders have to ask for feedback, but they also have to be willing to listen to feedback and take action on feedback.
It takes a fair amount of courage, actually. You have to be willing to engage in the conversations, and everybody has to have that chance to speak their mind and be heard. But it can't sort of just be quelled and put aside. You and I were talking, I think a week or so ago, and you told me about a startup company where the CEO, put out the word no more discussion on, I think it was political discussion, but a lot of people left the company. They felt like, well, I don't want to be, I want to show up as who I am. And it's hard, you can't sort of compartmentalize people. I think in the past, people were able to sort of have their work life and their home life to some extent, and they could kind of keep things in compartments. But, the last 1.5 years with so many people working from home, you're looking into, people's living room. Sometimes, I'm in a meeting with somebody and I realize that, they have a desk in their bedroom, so a lot of those walls that separated work and home life or personal life have fallen in the last 1.5 years. And you realize that, everybody has interesting, complicated, challenging, creative, exciting lives. And we all need to embrace that and welcome everybody to the table and have it work for everybody. And we will be a better company for it too. So HR is going to lead the way, but like I said, it can't just be HR. It has to be everybody, especially leaders in an organization. So it's an exciting time. I'm optimistic. I think we're heading in the right direction. We just have to keep doing the good, solid, hard work to make it happen.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Michael. Really appreciate your insights, and thank you for being part of today's Recruiter Intel Spotlight.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.